All right. So I have the day off. It's technically President's Day. It's not update Windows. It was something else. You're the Zoomer. Okay. It's President's Day. I have it off. I'm a federal employee. So this is a game-changing BNR list. The last one I saw like this was right before PT 25, essentially, where they banned Deathright. But this one's like huge over multiple formats. We can talk about the Cascade change too. I think the Cascade change was a lock to happen regardless because it's really similar to how Brain in a Jar functioned with the Fuse cards, and they changed that pretty quickly. And like the same for Boom Bust and Blood Raid Elf. Like all of those changes were happening. I'm recording it and I'm gonna post on YouTube too, I think. Min. So really what's going on here is alright. Historic, I don't know, like I'm not the biggest fan of Historic for a lot of reasons, mostly because it doesn't really have a real identity, in my opinion, is the first reason. Second, Uro's probably safe to ban just on power level reasons for that format, if I had to guess. Even if it's not the most winning deck, just banning on power level reasons is probably fine. Not being banned from the suspension list is something, alright. Probably fine, like, frankly, I don't know. Like, you just let it go. Alright, Pioneer. Balustrade Spy, banned. Undercity Informer, banned. Well, what that says to me is they really did not like the interaction between that and that and these Zendikar lands. MTG the Epic Storm asks the difference between suspended and banned. Suspension is a temporary ban that they can undo at any point, whereas like unbanning something from the ban list is a much more serious concern for them. It's sort of like a weird pedantic terminology thing, I think, more than anything else. It's not really more than that, I think. Yeah, yeah, they don't give you back their wildcards until they ban until. Yes, that is actually a big thing. Did we just get a raid or a host? The number jumped a lot. I don't know. All right, you do. You get your wildcards back, which is actually a big deal in the economy where it's basically a black hole. Like Arena just vacuums all of your wildcards. So Balustrade Spy, Undercity, Informer ban, and Pioneer. Probably a nod because they don't want to ban these Zendikar Rising cards. And they do want to like ban that deck essentially because it does weird things to the format, I guess. Alright. Teferi 3 ban, also I think fine on power level. I'm not sure it actually does anything to the format. I guess maybe Aetherworks Marvel is soft unbanned in Pioneer as well. That's potentially possible. And Wilderness Reclamation probably banned for similar reasons it was banned in other formats. Kind of breaks a lot of the rules of Pioneer, which is it's like an abusive man engine with Shark Typhoon and Expansion Explosion. So that's Pioneer. Modern, all right. I'm going to discuss these one by one because I think they deserve a lot of discussion. Field of the Dead. I think banning Field of the Dead does kill a bunch of archetypes, but I kind of think the best archetype for Field of the Dead was a blue deck. And what it does now is it just cuts off that angle for the blue decks. Obviously, White-Green Reclaimer is much worse now. Primeval Titan decks basically have to all be Valakut based as well, is my prediction. You don't really get to just play one Valakut, 2 Field of the Dead, 4 Primeval Titan, a bunch of Summoners packs. Like, I think the format shifts pretty significantly. So there is that. I'm trying to think, was there anything else field was used for? Not really. Um, Mystic Sanctuary banned similar reasons to banning field. They just wanted to cut the knees off of blue decks. The blue decks really have had it very, very good for quite a while. Like Sanctuary, the Sanctuary Cryptic Command thing was complete nonsense, I think, basically, because if you're playing an aggro deck that didn't have reach, you could never break up the lock. Like, you would just sit there, and in combination with one of the other cards on the list, Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, it was actually just a hard lock where you'd take 6-point hits until you're dead because you were never allowed to attack or block. Blue-white control? I don't know. I cannot figure that out. I think it is, Jacob, I do think it's the end of Cryptic Command now. Because Cryptic Command really, really only become great because of Mystic Sanctuary, right? Yeah, I think that's true, Dogemoy. I really think that's true. I mean, that and field and like the blue decks just had so much for so long. All right, I'll address Simeon Spirit Guide and Tibalt's Trickery. I think Simeon Spirit Guide really got the axe finally because they were finally tired of it being abused in only basically combo decks that were like, or like nonsense decks is a better way of putting it. Like, the thing about Simeon Spirit Guide is you're never going to put it into a normal deck. It's just there for nonsense. Like turn 3 or turn 4 nonsense. Sometimes turn 2 nonsense too, I guess. Like, so they didn't actually ban Oops in Modern. I'm not sure if that was intended or not. Probably was intended. But also is potential that, like, not enough people complained about Oops in Modern. And for some reason, I think Tibalt's Trickery being banned is just because it's not fun to play against. No, we're getting to Legacy and Vintage in a second. I went in order. No standard bans actually did not surprise me. I think most people regard standard as fine right now. Personally. And Uro, like, they were planning to address Uro 100% Modern. That was, everyone knew. It just happened. And, well, see ya, Uro. Just goodbye. Good riddance, right? Alright. Let's talk about Legacy. Can you sweat in this chat? Well, no one's going to see you sweat, right? Alright, so Arcum's Astrolabe. What Arcum's Astrolabe did to the format was it let the control decks play 4 to 5 colors and be mostly immune to Wasteland. And it was just a free card to turn into an elk with your Oko Thief of Crowns. So honestly, what it did to the format was it sort of homogenized all of the blue decks into being 4 to 5 color. All of the like blue mid-range decks. Because you really needed a good reason not to put a snow mana base into your deck. Whether or not that was actually the truth is sort of debatable. Rogue Delver was never going to put Astrolabe into its deck. Because it doesn't really fit the plan very well. Dreadhorde Arcanist. I mean, honestly, I was less expecting this to happen because I really thought the format could tolerate. But like, if it makes people happy, if it makes more people happier, then they should ban it. I guess I don't know. We'll discuss that. They posted something about changing how they ban things now as well at the very bottom. We'll discuss that in a sec. And yeah, like the fact that your cool basic lands were soft banned was kind of a bummer. MTGen GA, like that's so hard to figure out. I don't really know offhand. It's not actually possible just Death Shadow is the best right now, but I also will give it some time and figure it out. All right. So that's Dreadhorde Arcanist. I mean, Arcanist did lead to the snowballing, I guess, which people didn't love. Like, it was easy to, like, sometimes it was easy to just, like, counterspell, 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 and, you know, draw 2 cards per turn, like, keep forcing their stuff. Alright, last card, Oko Thief of Crowns. I'm sympathetic to them banning this one because of, well, so Oko sort of soft banned a few cards. And soft banned, like, any big green creatures like Knight of the Reliquary and those sort of style of decks. Also soft banned Chalice of the Void, I think. Like, I think really you did see people figure out that Chalice of the Void was not very good by the end of it. Like, it just plummeted in representation because people probably kept losing to Oko with it. I'm not going to make any predictions, Brian. I think that's too hard to figure out. I will be interested in trying decks over the next few weeks. And that's how I'm going to treat it. I don't really love, like, trying to predict what's going to be good, what's going to be bad. Because, like, like, the first few weeks are such high volatility after a ban or a set rotation or whatever that it's just, like, impossible to predict what's good, what's bad in quotation marks, you know? So yeah, Oko getting the axe doesn't really surprise me. Just axing all of the text boxes was just, you know, not great. Winners and losers for BR. Winner, big winner, Chalice of the Void. Big loser, Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. Yeah, I don't really care that much about the clout aspect personally. I'm just like, I don't know. I like playing to win, I guess. Also, this inherently loser is Icefang Collateral, actually. There's not like another free permanent. Big loser Stifle? Yeah, possibly. Let me think about that. Yeah, so CT Specchio, I wanted them to go live today, but no one replied to my tweet asking when these bands are supposed to go live, so I don't know when they're supposed to go live. Like, I literally... If they go live the 17th, then I'm not going to play any Modern today or whatever. Jog Hurt XXL. See, that's what I thought, Kate Gallius. Yeah, but it wasn't clear to me. Yeah. Is the ban thing happening now? I guess I'll check in a second. It doesn't say for Magic Online ban. Ashwave isn't a great ban for Paper Legacy. Well, I don't know. I guess that sucks for people. Collie9 being the real deal, doing science for us to see if it's actually banned. Alright, one last thing. Lurrus being unbanned in Vintage, I think that's fine. Like, if it turns out to be too good, maybe that's a disaster, but adding 3 extra mana to Lurrus in Vintage and Summerly Legacy, I think is a huge game changer. Yo, what's up, Ness? Oh, and also there was literally an account called Unban Lurrus, owned by one Matt Murray, and they ran into Andrew Brown in Vintage League. So perhaps we have Matt to thank for that one in Vintage. I think Matt is happy about it. I think Matt just basically made that account to try to get it to happen. Yeah, it's a complete Keck W moment. But yeah, so big losers for decks and Legacy. Big losers are any deck with Arcanus and Astrolabe. Big winners are decks with Wasteland and Chalice of the Void, is my soft read on the situation. Besides that, what's the best Delver deck? I don't know. I would have to think about it for a while. Sprite Dragon is like something that might see more play now because of it. Oh, by the way, thanks for the sub, Finders. 38 months? Wow. Wow. Four Limbs tier 0. I'm not sure if Storm's a winner or not. I leave that to the Bryants of the world to figure out. They'll tell me. Then I might switch. Marcus and TSMTG got gifted subs by Unsung Hero 18. Thanks. That's cool too. Yeah, Stifle's a loser. That makes sense. Alright, so one last thing. The rules change will happen on the 17th. Additionally, we are updating the rules for Cascade and to address interactions in older formats. This rule will be implemented on Magic Online Wednesday, February 17th. The new rule for Cascade is as follows. 702.4a. Cascade is a triggered ability that functions only while the spell with Cascade is on the stack. Cascade means that when you cast this spell, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card whose converted mana cost is less than this spell's converted mana cost. You may cast that spell without paying its mana cost if its converted mana cost is less than this spell's converted mana cost. Then put all cards exiled this way that weren't cast on the bottom of the library in a random order. So I think this differs in that it actually compares the mana cost now. So you cannot do the boom bust for Valky thing. Yeah, that was my fear before Carpool Trash Panda, but I don't know, like, there's clearly gameplay acceleration, or metagame acceleration, not gameplay acceleration, due to COVID, so I don't know. Those are my major, I think this rules change is good. I think this was like, the Valky thing was complete nonsense. Thalia can make Bloodbraid whiff now? Why? I don't think that doesn't really do what you think it does, Shadowless. It doesn't actually change the number in the upper right. Like, when they say converted mana cost, you look at the numbers in the upper right and add them all together, and that's a converted mana cost. Did you miss the Boomer talk? I don't know, maybe. Yeah, so Kali said that the ban cards... What X are you worried about, Shadowless? So if you cast a Bloodbraid Elf and hit a Brainstorm with 3-ball out, it's still a 1-mana spell. X is always treated as 0 under Bloodbraid Elf as well, yeah. But, I mean, like, that's not really different from before. I guess I don't really understand what you're talking about. Alright, so yeah, I'm pretty happy with this Cascade rules change. I think the other thing, it was the other thing it was doing all of the Cascade rule things, like the boom bust thing was kind of nonsense. This was kind of nonsense. Like, I think it's just for the best that they did that. Yeah, but you can still try to cast it. Yeah, the CMC is still 3. Yo, what's up, Hyra? Hope you're having a good one. I'm being a boomer today. All right. So I think this is a very key sentence that a lot of people moused over. All right. Throughout the past, yeah, it was. Wow. So it did what it was intended, right? Did I get you good? I guess I got you good. All right. Throughout the past year, with pandemic conditions resulting in fewer high-level tabletop events, we correspondingly slowed the pace of banned and restricted changes in non-rotating formats. So non-rotating formats. That's Pioneer, Historic, Legacy, Vintage, Modern. Right? Cascade changes feel like exploits being patched out. Yeah, I agree. However, recent community discussion has made it clear that many fans of those formats are interested in seeing shakeups to those metagames. Oh, Popper 2, sorry. Today's changes represent us taking a close look at each of Historic, Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, and Vintage and responding to both play data and community feedback. So, really, what's going on here from before? Before, they only really used objective data. Like, I think they really waited for it and just objectively used the data. But now, I guess what this means is they're factoring in community input a lot more, community feedback a lot more. And my worry is if something like the whole community shouts for to be banned but doesn't actually needs to be banned, it's going to set bad precedents. Exactly, Monkers knows. That's what I'm afraid of. But maybe that won't be the case. And yeah, there's just an over representation of people on Twitter or whatever, probably. So I don't know, like this. Yeah, but my issue has always been isn't fun subjective. Dokomoy. I mean, there are certain types of gameplay that I think almost everyone agrees are unfun, but there are a few people who might find it fun, so it is somewhat subjective still, right? That's why I think like it's really hard to how do I put it? It's really hard for it's really hard to make everyone happy, I guess is the actual answer. Like extraordinarily difficult. They call me brain. Don't any of you dare complain about Wasteland needing a banned legacy or else. I am sort of sympathetic to the idea of starting a ban watch list instead of just having bans, to like give people an idea of what they're thinking about Foul 3. Is it actually? Oh man, Brian got me real good. Jeez, Brian, I walked into that one. Yeah, that's fair. Hiya, that is fair. Like I think it was pretty clear that Oko being legal for so long was probably not great, and I think most people are happy to see Oko go. Is an example of what you're saying, right? Free Archolib. Can we have Faithless Looting and Mobile back now, please? Maybe. I don't know. Like, 5-second blurb. Red green. Red green because it has the best mana base. I don't really have like I'm going to freely admit I haven't played the deck in like forever without gamble. It is really about accounts with clout. Yeah, that's the major issue I have, Hyra, actually. Yeah, that's like literally the major issue I have is because like certain people have a stronger voice, but really what makes their voice more important than someone else's? Like that's I don't know, how do I put it? Oh yeah, I accept all bribes. They call me brain. Yeah, but they okay, I don't all right. I think if Luis had no, wait, didn't Luis said he didn't expect bans but welcomed them? I think that's what actually Luis said. Yeah. What? Hyra, how could you do that to me? I actually lost to Luis playing Legacy this year, so that's not even true. The social media accounts cannot be held accountable for the bans they cause. That is certainly true as well. It's certainly true. Oh, that's sad. Evil to. Oh, like I actually do feel bad for you. I'm just processing what you all are saying. There's a card now so universally banned. Is it Oko Thief of Crowns? I'm not gonna lie. I think for this BNR announcement, they probably had like a meeting almost every day to discuss it for like the past few weeks, if I had to guess. Like I think they were hoping Kaldheim would shake things up, but then it sort of didn't. In fact, Kaldheim sort of caused problems. It caused problems in unintended rules consequences. Do I think Astrolabe ban kills Yorion deck in Legacy? Well, Yorion decks were kind of fringe already, so I mean, I'm not sure it does much besides that, right? uh, lots of lava lamps. You should ask Ryan about that. I would totally like hang out in Cube with Ryan. Do I remember when Pioneer challenges weren't firing? When everyone hated the format. RP tonight. I think the counterpoint is that I think they might not have actually realized that that was going to happen. But I do agree it was the right decision to fix the rules. Like I literally do not believe that they actually realized that that was going to happen. You like the acts that they took to pioneer PT2. Alright, Corporal Trash Panda, I will address that real quick. There's a bunch of cards on the modern ban list that aren't good, but still are there. Mostly because people don't like playing against those things. And they're really addressing that people want to have fun, really. Is land's good again? I don't know, like, it's probably not... It will never be an 80% win rate deck for me again. Does that answer your question? Like, I think seriously one of the issues is Force of Negation. Is Force of Negation a beatable card for lands? And I think generally the answer is no for me. Am I afraid of Hope of Garper? No, and I've played that card in a modern PT. Yeah, this loser 22. A lot of people felt that way when Opal got banned. People outright quit because their Affinity decks got banned. And it's not even like Affinity was a dominating deck. Opal definitely did die for Affinity's, Affinity died for for Urza's sins, is how I should actually put it. Force of Negation is not bannable, but would have been happier if effects like that weren't printed to begin with. That's an interesting thought. I mean, I think really what's going on there is that Modern Horizons wanted to push the envelope. And by pushing the envelope, a lot of cards got sort of out of hand, is how I would put it. I'm still thinking. Alright, let's see what they actually say about Historic. Decks built around Uro Venetia are the most played in Historic and have been for a while. While other decks have contested for that position, the steady dominance of Uro shows it is too powerful for the format. Alright, so they banned Uro outright because they felt like they didn't need to suspend it. That's fine. And they moved Omnath from suspension to banning because they thought it was pretty clear. And I'm fine with that. We don't believe Pioneer can be at its most fun with Oops All Spells being banned or being a large part of the metagame. So look, they really are concerned about people being driven away from formats. And yeah, they're probably using some like inside I don't know, how do I put it? They probably have some definition of fun, which is obviously not the same for everyone, but it's the same for the majority of people. Yeah, same for Inverter, I guess. Evil Toaster. Do I think it's safe to build the top decks anymore? I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. I literally don't know how to answer that question. CT Specchio. What do I think about the argument while the banned cards in Legacy might be balanced from a win percentage perspective, they might make the game less skill testing? Well, I think skill testing is a very nebulous term. There's a lot of skills in Magic, and not all of them are within gameplay. Right? You have 75 cards to choose to put into your deck. At least 75. Sometimes it's 95 or whatever, you know? That's like a lot of work. So, I don't know. Like, I don't really have an opinion for that. Lord Matri, as one of the OG creators of Oops Spells and Pioneer, I'm really glad it's went interesting. What deck am I going to try first? I don't know, P-Zephyr. I don't know, probably something that I haven't played for a while. Yeah, exactly, Hydra. I think that is a good way of putting it. Yeah, I tried to not use that term anymore, Julian. I think they just wanted it to not exist anymore. From this wording, I think they just didn't want it to exist. Is 4C Loam again? Might as well try it. It might be good. It might not be good. I'll let you try it. I don't play 4C Loam a lot, and I didn't win a lot with it when I tried it. Sorry, I need to hydrate. I've been talking for like 40 minutes straight. Alright. Modern. As in Pioneer, Uro has become dominant. Alright. Ban Uro. It's fine. Along with Uro, we are addressing two land cards frequently used by ramp and control strategies, which we feel are decreasing diversity of gameplay patterns: Field of the Dead and Mystic Sanctuary. Both lands create repetitive and non-interactive game states in the late game for relatively low deck building costs. Okay, this is interesting. Again, this is like, how do I put it? I think it's a good change. Is the Silvery Boy playable again? Maybe. I think if they took the word non-interactive out, I think it would have been a much more correct sentence and also defensible. But I really think focusing on the word non-interactive is missing the point. They certainly create repetitive game states, that's for damn sure. Do you all agree with that? I don't think you can really argue in good faith that Field of the Dead and Mystic Sanctuary don't lead to repetitive games. Yeah. So I think maybe if they had just removed the word non-interactive, no one would have any issue with that sentence or with that. I think regardless, I think most people do not have an issue with that ban. All right, Samian Spirit Guide is a card we've had our eye on. Sorry, I'm reading what Nefet typed. Yeah, they have internal data, or internal history and data that we don't have, which is also like key. And I think that's a great point. They have internal stuff that we've never seen. So what is what is going on there internally is something we don't know about. All right, so Simian Spirit Guide, they banned it because it was basically enabling nonsense. That's what I take away from that. Yeah, it's a crazy day. Yep, and this is exactly what I expected. Thibaut's Trickery, the overall win rate is not problematic, but it makes it less fun to play. So they banned it. So I think that's fine. Like, if they want to do that, that is within their thing. And they're trying to make people happy. Remember, WotC is a corporation. They're not just like a faceless entity. They want to keep customers happy if possible, because if they don't have happy customers, then who's going to buy stuff from them? Right? Like, isn't that literally what's going on here? Like, the example I remember is, I think during the clamp affinity era in standard, they banned clamp because it was actually affecting their FNM attendance. Because like people just like standard was heavily played at FNMs, I think, back then as well. I think standard was basically the FNM format, if not it was that or draft back then. Because you didn't like no one played extended except for P2Qs. No one played block. Can Neo Brand survive SHG ban? Probably not. But Julian, did you play block for fun or do you only play for PTQs? Because I really only remember playing block for PTQs and for GPs. You played it for fairies because you want to play more fairies? Seems like the most not Julian deck. Huh. Weird. But Cryptic Command and Mistbind Click are hell of drugs, so it sort of makes sense too. Alright, let's see what they say about Legacy. While balance hasn't looked too problematic in Legacy, we've heard community feedback that a few cards have come to draw too much of the focus for deck building gameplay. Well, Julian, I have a PTQ one with fairies. So, I understand it. Oka Thief of Crowns has proven powerful in other formats. Alright, so basically they were hoping that Legacy could deal with Oko by itself. But they realized that Oko sort of has too many catch-alls, I guess is how to put it. Like, it catch-alls Aether Vial and Chalice of the Void, which I think aren't directly mentioned here, but were cards that were incidentally answered by Oko. And yeah, here's the point we had. Arkham's Astrolabe. Arkham's Astrolabe let you play a resilient mana base to Wasteland and Blood Moon. While like you can get around Wasteland and Blood Moon and also just like cast 5 color worth of spells. It's just like kind of breaking a design rule, yeah. So I think that's why they chose to do it and just like introduce the fact that if you want to play like a heavy multicolored control deck in Legacy now, you are most likely going to be vulnerable to Wasteland one way or the other. Alright, Dreadhorde Arcanist. Without Oko, we anticipate that Dreadhorde Arcanist strategies will become more prominent. Ultimately, the community sentiment we've heard is that Dreadhorde Arcanist makes gameplay revolve around it too early in the game. 4 duels for a 3-color control deck reasonable, not really. And yeah, Gizzle's SWE, I am sympathetic to that. I am sympathetic that people have to buy more dual lands. How much worse is Delver with 2 shocks per color? You mean shock lands? The answer is significantly worse because if you ever play a matchup where your life total matters, the shock lands are much worse. No, let's be realistic, chat. You're giving up a lot. Because especially in a deck that plays days and like 1 mana interactive spells, the fact that you have to get another shock land is not great. Like, especially if you play a Delver Mirror where bolts are flying about, it is not free. Trust me. Like, Obviously, it costs you a lot more money to do so. I'm just saying that it is not free. Like I just want to point that out. If you want to play with Shocklands, then you should play a Shadow deck, probably. I'm not even sure that Shadow's going to be all that appealing. Exactly. The PV understands. Like, really, the modern patterns have, like, everyone cut cantrips from their blue decks in modern, so you can get a tap land on turn one a lot. But in Legacy, you really can't take that turn off because you want to cast your Ponder or Preordain on turn one, or your Delver or your Lightning Bolt on turn one. Yeah, I understand that it sucks, but I'm just saying if we're having a good faith argument about how to build your mana base in Legacy, there is a very real cost. I just want people not to trick themselves. And yeah, it sucks that the cost is so high, but just please don't trick yourself. I'm just saying, I just want to say that. All right, and so they did discuss banning Uro, but they thought banning Oko and Astrolabe would be good enough. So that's how I read that. Yeah, it's a little bit harder. All right. If people can afford to buy signed cards for 1,000 bugs, I don't know what that means, Pydings. Alright. Shortly after the release of Ikoria, Lurrus was added to vintage ban lists because restricting it didn't do anything. So they're unbanning Lurrus. Like, so what? When the companion rule first came out, Lurrus was actually the best deck in vintage by so much. I think it was kind of insane because like having doubling up like. All right, so you draw Black Lotus, you play Lurrus, you replay Black Lotus. It's already paid for itself, incidentally. So it's just it was kind of bananas. And I specifically Lurrus Underworld Breach was the best deck by so much in vintage that I think that's why they like restricting Lurrus doesn't do shit because you only play one. So banning Lurrus makes sense in that format. But now that they shifted the companion rule to cost 3 more, you don't get to just go Lotus, Lurrus, Lotus immediately. Instead, you will have to like tap 3 mana, put Lurrus in your hand, play Lotus, then play Lurrus, then play Lotus. That's a lot different. And Cascade rules change. So yeah, I think they just had to do this 100%, and I'm glad that they did it sooner rather than later. Yeah, you can also put Lurrus into your deck if you want. I wonder if that's actually going to happen. Yeah, so Too Long Didn't Read version. If you Bloodbraid Elf, you can no longer cast Tybalt, but you can cast Valky. If you hit Cosima, you can cast Cosima or the Omen Keel, because both are less than Bloodbraid Elf. Yeah, this makes sense fix. I think this fix is good, and I don't think anyone's surprised, and I don't think you'll find that many people who are unhappy with it. Yep, this is how it should work. I agree. Finally, I can play my Euro basics. Oh yeah, yeah. I can. I'll show you some of the lands that are unbanned for me, if and when paper comes back. All right. Korean 4th edition forest, black bordered. Hong Kong APAC Island. Bring it back. Aruru Rock Plains from Australia. I always have a tough time saying that one. Swamp. Don't remember the location of this one. Mount Fuji Mountain. Oh yeah. Great Wall Plains. This is a classic. I've been here multiple times. Really, the art is a throwback. Ambient Crepes? I don't know who that is. Alright, let's see what else I got in here. Like this forest. So basically we can pull out all of the APAC lands. Chinese Onslaught Mountain. Yeah, you mostly did. I'm mostly happy that they did pull the trigger because it'll make other people happier, even though it doesn't affect me that much as long. Oh, yep, Depths is unplayable now. Yep. Nothing, it was a joke. P. Zephyr was joking. Y'all fell into P. Zephyr's trap. Yeah, it was clearly a joke. I don't know how I understood it was a joke. Is the goose going to get set loose with Okogon? Which goose? It doesn't seem like Gilded Goose will be set loose. Boat, yep. Oh, Mongoose? I'm not sure about that. Probably not. The Reign of Terror of Gilded Goose Monkhouse. Yeah, you gotta watch out. Gilded Goose goes honk real hard. It's like, honk! Honk! I hope no one clips me doing that. Didgeridoo Alphorn sound. Alright, here you go. My best Didgeridoo Alphorn sound impression. No, we're talking about geese, not Geist. I don't know. Nothing specifically, Julian. I'll just try a bunch of stuff soon. I don't think the band goes live today, otherwise I was gonna play a song. Actually, I guess I can check. Is it still banned? No, ban is live on Wednesday. Or I thought it was live today, but the Cascade fix is live Wednesday. So yeah, I think really the major takeaway is WotC's willing to listen to people more so than it might seem. They just don't respond to people is the difference. For better or worse. I could try entering a league with Oko. I don't own any Okos on my account. Complaint works and should be promoted. Alright, let me see if they fix anything. Well, it did make me patch. Blood Moon in Modern. Oh yeah, I have to open a bunch of treasure chests, don't I now? I'm not even sure I have any left. Unsung Hero, that's because I did open all a few days ago. In fact, I'm going to clip that one.